Unveiling a love story. From a coincidence to a tragic ending. Come along on Patrick De La Cerda and Jessica Devani's heartbreaking journey, which began with hope and dreams, but ended in tragedy. Prepare to be gripped by a story that goes beyond love and grief, and keep an eye out for the startling revelation that changes everything. The quiet town of Deltona, located in eastern Florida off the Atlantic coast, was rocked by news of the brutal murder of a young man named Patrick De La Cerda. The 25-year-old man was found dead in his home, and the nature of his injuries suggested that the perpetrator had a personal grudge against him. The Patrick De La Cerda case is an example of an almost perfect, elaborate, and planned crime that may well have gone unsolved. Although the murderer was named almost immediately, no direct evidence was found to prove his guilt, as later claimed by investigator Chad Weaver, who investigated the case. He realized from the beginning that it would be a real detective story worthy of screen adaptation. In fact, it happened. Who is Patrick De La Cerda? Patrick De La Cerda, born in June 1992 in the picturesque metropolitan area of Miami, Florida, hailed from a family with roots in Spain and France. His father, Max De La Cerda, a construction professional, and his mother, Patricia Ronza, who moved to the United States in the 80s, created a loving and close-knit family. Patrick, a kind, intelligent, and friendly young man, excelled in his studies, easily making friends and becoming the heart of any gathering. Despite his parents' later divorce, the family remained connected, providing support and staying in touch regularly. Growing up, Patrick maintained a strong bond with his parents, who prioritized his education and upbringing. Following high school, he chose to follow in his father's footsteps, pursuing a construction-related degree at the university. The family's financial status, though not affluent, was comfortable. The divorce, a quiet and amicable separation, led to his mother's relocation to Deltona, where she remarried. Patrick, choosing to stay with his father in Miami, continued working with him in the construction industry. Despite the geographical distance, the family remained cohesive, always ready to lend support when needed. The tragic event unfolded on February 27, 2018, when Patrick's father received a call regarding an order delivered to Patrick's address. Concerned by the lack of response from his son, Patrick's father contacted Jessica, and they both rushed to Patrick's home. There, they discovered a horrifying scene: Patrick lying lifeless at the entrance in a pool of blood. Despite Jessica's distraught state, she expressed to the police her belief that she knew the person responsible for the brutal act: a rich and powerful ex-boyfriend. To understand this difficult case, and to understand who could want to kill a young guy who, at first glance, had neither enemies nor ill-wishers, you need to go back a little bit to the time when he and Jessica had just met. The thing is that at that time, the girl was in a relationship with a certain Gregory Bender, a wealthy businessman who owned his investment fund. Jessica met Gregory in her student years. He was 20 years older than her, and he literally turned the young beauty's head. The businessman wooed her beautifully, gave her expensive gifts, and took her to fancy resorts. Jessica thought she had found her only love, but soon she began to notice some oddities in his behavior. Gregory sought to control his girlfriend in everything, closely watching where she went and with whom she communicated. If Jessica had an admirer, he immediately got rid of him through threats and intimidation. At the same time, he told her almost nothing about himself. This relationship lasted almost 8 years, and during this time, Gregory never introduced his chosen one to his family or friends. They met, spent time together, or went on vacation only when he wanted it, and Gregory rarely invited his girlfriend to his house. He argued that he was very busy. Naturally, Jessica wanted to have a normal family, to have children, but Bender said every time that it was not yet time for that. And when she tried to break off the relationship, Gregory gave her a ring and asked her to marry him. Jessica accepted, but nothing had changed. They still lived apart and saw each other only when the groom said so. One day, Gregory was in a car accident and ended up in a hospital bed. When Jessica heard about it, she rushed to him, but beforehand, she decided to stop by his house to get some things for Gregory. There, Jessica ran into a woman she had never seen before and asked who she was. The stranger, instead of answering, asked her a similar question. Jessica showed the ring on her finger and said that she was the bride of the owner of the house. The woman then laughed and showed her her ring, stating that she was Bender's legal wife, Deora Sanchez Bender. After such a shocking revelation, Jessica decided to immediately part ways with the businessman who had cheated her for so many years. However, the boyfriend began to literally pursue Jessica, begging her to return, promising that he would divorce Deora in the near future, and then they could get married. She once again believed this man, but time passed, and nothing in their relationship had changed. Finally, tired of this affair, Jessica filled out a questionnaire on a dating site, where she soon met Patrick. After starting to communicate with him, she firmly decided to break up with Gregory, about which she informed him. But he did not want to let her go, the obsessive stalker. At first, Bender persuaded Jessica to come back to him and try to start over once again, promising to divorce his wife. Then, he moved on to threats and harassment. When he realized that all this was useless, he decided to search for a rival about which, at that time, he knew nothing. He had to turn to professionals to hack into Jessica's account and find out who she was communicating with. After finding out who Patrick was and obtaining his contacts, Gregory began sending him threatening messages and demanding that he break up with Jessica, calling her his fiancée. Patrick did not react to the threats and was absolutely calm, believing that the matter would not go further than threats. But Jessica was scared because she realized that her ex-boyfriend could expect anything from her. He was a man with a lot of money and connections, and he had a huge collection of firearms that he could use. Jessica offered Patrick to break up before anyone got hurt, but he wouldn't even hear of it. Then they decided to go to the police, providing evidence that Bender was stalking and threatening them. The couple managed to get a restraining order for Gregory not to approach them and try to make contact by any means. Gregory was also required to surrender all firearms stored in his home. Things calmed down for a while, and the lovers began to think that the stalker had left them alone. However, Jessica convinced Patrick that For more legal dramas, subscribe to our channel Swift Crime. Like the video and share it with your friends. Until next time.